Why do many examples use fig, ax equals Plt.Subplots, in Matplotlib/Pyplot/Python? I'm learning to use Matplotlib by studying examples, and a lot of examples seem to include a line like the following before creating a single plot. Here are some examples. Modify tick label text. This URL. I see this function used a lot, even though the example is only attempting to create a single chart. Is there some other advantage? The official demo for subplots also uses ax equals subplots when creating a single chart, and it only ever references ax after that. This is the code they use.
Plt.Subplots is a function that returns a tuple containing a figure and axis objects. Thus, when using fig, ax equals Plt.Subplots, you unpack this tuple into the variables fig and ax. Having fig is useful if you want to change figure level attributes or save the figure as an image file later, e.g. with fig.savefig, your filename.png. You certainly don't have to use the returned figure object, but many people do use it later, so it's common to see. Also, all access objects, the objects that have plotting methods, have a parent figure object anyway, thus is more concise than this.
Just a supplement here. The following question is that what if I want more subplots in the figure? As mentioned in the doc, we can use fig equals Plt.Subplots, and rows equals 2, and columns equals 2, to set a group of subplots with grid 2, 2, in one figure object. Then as we know, the fig ax equals Plt.Subplots returns a tuple. Let's try fig ax1, ax2, ax3, ax4 equals Plt.Subplots, and rows equals 2, and columns equals 2, firstly. It raises an error, but no worry, because we now see that Plt.Subplots actually returns a tuple with two elements. The first one must be a figure object, and the other one should be a group of subplots objects. So let's try this again. And check the type. Of course, if you use parameters as, and rows equals 1, and columns equals 4, then the format should be So just remember to keep the construction of the list as the same as the subplots grid we set in the figure. Hope this would be helpful for you.
As a supplement to the question and above answers, there is also an important difference between Plt.Subplots and Plt.Subplot. Notice the missing s at the end. One can use Plt.Subplots to make all their subplots at once, and it returns the figure and axis, plural of axis, of the subplots as a tuple. A figure can be understood as a canvas where you paint your sketch. Whereas, you can use Plt.Subplot if you want to add the subplots separately. It returns only the axis of one subplot. However, Plt.Subplots is preferred because it gives you easier options to directly customize your whole figure. Whereas, with Plt.Subplot, one will have to specify individually for each axis, which can become cumbersome.
In addition to the answers above, you can check the type of object using type, Plt.Subplots, which returns a tuple. On the other hand, type, Plt.Subplot, returns Matplotlib.axes._subplots.axis subplot, which you can't unpack.
Using Plt.Subplots is popular because it gives you an axis object and allows you to use the axis interface to define plots. The alternative would be to use the global state interface, the Plt.Plot etc. functionality. So why do we prefer axes? It is refactorable. You can put away some of the code into a function that takes an axis object and does not rely on global state. It is easier to transition to a situation with multiple subplots. One consistent, familiar interface instead of switching between two. The only way to access the depth of all features of Matplotlib. The global state version was created that way to be easy to use interactively and to be a familiar interface for MATLAB users, but in larger programs and scripts the points outlined here favor using the axis interface. There is a Matplotlib blog post exploring this topic in more depth, Pyplot vs Object-Oriented Interface. It is relatively easy to deal with both worlds. We can for example always ask for the current axis, ax equals plt.gca, get current axis.
If you want to support the channel, please consider liking and subscribing.